welcome, podcast.
You're so welcome.
Video number 7, episode 7.
Nice to see you.
We've got a hero amongst men here.
Whoa.
As we've just described earlier on.
How do you feel about being called a hero amongst men?
Mate, I'm honoured to be called a hero amongst men, and I'm honoured to be number 7. It's a good number.
It is lucky 7.
Strong
No, I
number.
don't know. Maybe I'm going to give it a lucky number. What's your lucky number?
It's a number.
7 now.
It's a number of perfection.
Ooh.
7 days in a week.
Ooh. So we've got Matthew Thompson here. From
Matthew Thompson.
Best of Belfast. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Pleasure.
We're going to have a wee chit chat, see a little bit of information about you. So we want to know what you're up to, what you're doing with your life.
Yes. So Matthew Thompson, what do you do?
What do I do? Good question. 2 years ago, I moved back to Northern Ireland after a 3-year stint, kind of getting travelling out of my system, working for non-profits, doing all the sort of stuff you dream of doing whenever you're 16.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back and I was like, I want to be self-employed. I want to work for myself. Traditionally speaking, the skills that I have aren't how I imagine typical business people to be like. I kind of come from an English literature, more arts, more creative sort of background, and I always associated businessmen with suits, business women, they're really good at accounting, and business people who just have these kind of real corporate values, corporate attitudes, and so I excluded myself from that. But my real passion in life is writing and communicating, and so basically was looking at the marketplace, looking at what I have to offer, and I says, how can I make a business out of this? How can I make money out of this? How can I add value out of this? And as a result, I've got thrown myself into the world of copywriting, which is basically just a fancy word for writing for businesses, writing adverts, doing the text on websites, all that sort of stuff, blog posts. And also I've been experimenting with this wonderful thing that we call podcasting, and I've just been absolutely loving that.
So the podcaster has become the podcastee.
Oh!
The tables have been turned, yes,
So
absolutely.
it's very interesting you said about being self-employed. What was the catalyst for that? What was the defining moment that you thought, listen, I don't want to work for somebody else, I kind of like the idea of working for myself?
I would say 2 things. The first one is the cliche one that I'm not going to lie to you, it's the freedom. I love the freedom of being self-employed. I love being able to take on projects and do work that I want to do. But actually, there's a non-selfish aspect to that. And the second thing is actually because I think the way I am, whether it's a personality thing, whether it's an attitude, whether it's just the way my skill set is, I do better whenever I know I'm making the maximum impact that I can. And actually being self-employed, it gives me the freedom to add more value. That sounds very jargony and very kind of cliche. What I mean by that is whenever I'm working, and this was an issue I had in school, whenever I'm working on a 9 to 5 sort of schedule, I just go back to like 16-year-old Matthew in school who didn't want to be there, couldn't wait to get out, hated having to sit at the same desk every day, hated having to be controlled, and actually I did crap work because of it. But see, whenever I have that freedom, it actually frees me up to do work that I know makes an impact. It helps me much more productive, even the way I charge my clients now. I mean, extremely rarely will I quote for an hourly rate, extremely rarely will I quote for a daily rate, because if that happens, I've just given myself a long period of time that work has to take place in. Whereas if I'm working for myself, if I work really hard, I can get my work done in 2 hours, and then I'm free. It works for me because it means I work less, but it actually serves the client better as well because I'm not wasting their time. So it's kind of twofold.
When you work for not-for-profits, did you experience like the 9 to 5 grind? Like, I mean, I'm trying to figure out how did you arrive at that destination of, listen, I can't be bothered with that. So did you experience that before? I've been ingrained in this 9 to 5 work ethic.
Yeah, so school, I mean, schooling was obviously...
So I
don't know how many hours you do in school.
9 to 3.5.
Yeah, exactly. When I left school...
You did none, I heard.
Look at that, he's still an entrepreneur. Look, check that out. No, I lived and worked in New York City for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And there was something about being in that environment. The city is fast-paced. It's a really, really high-pressure environment. And everybody's just working 60-hour work weeks.
Where the heck did that come about?
That is a very, very long story.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. I Googled it.
You're serious?
How short do you want?
Here, that shows you guys. You can just Google it and get yourself out there.
I was looking for an internship. My kind of personal values and my personal passions are always surrounded people. People is at the core of what I do. That's a cliche, but here we are. And I was really interested in creating social services. I really wanted to kind of change lives from the ground up and be working boots on the ground with people. I want to be working in difficult environments, impoverished backgrounds. In New York City, I was working primarily with the homeless community, a lot with drug addicts, and also really randomly, again, I'm trying to keep it short, with chronic hoarders. So people who they can't throw away things, and so they were facing eviction, they were facing fire hazards in their apartment, and they basically their lives were being controlled by their inability to give things up.
And did you sort of like, obviously, like that's a mental health aspect we're going to have to
Absolutely.
talk about. So did you have to deal with essentially their problems or their
mental baggage?
Mental background?
100%. So a lot of the work that I was doing, and to be honest I have been doing, and even in some ways I'm still doing, is very much involved in the mental health space. So even though I've moved into kind of more like businessy, and I've moved away from the traditional social services, while I am going down this route still, I think most things that I commit myself to, it always feeds into those personal values of wanting to make an impact on people's lives and wanting to touch people's mental health, raise awareness of it, but also change. But in that environment, I was doing a lot because my wife and I met an amazing German woman, way to go, Leo, called
Leo.
Jackie. Come on,
Leo.
The German Leo. Come on.
Give me a shout out here.
And it was a small organization, and we were doing everything from the admin side of stuff to managing staff, managing volunteers, and then actually doing the work ourselves. So because the work was high intensity, on the ground stuff, like you said, dealing with people's mental health, dealing with people's difficult personalities, not everyone's easy to deal with, and then doing all that as well.
You talk to this boy for 5 minutes?
This is constant jibing each other here.
It was high pressure, and it was high hour load and high workload.
Yes.
And I wouldn't say that I burnt out, but I think I was very close to doing so.
What I'm trying to get at is it that length of time and work that made you want to get away from having a job, so to speak? I'm trying to figure out where was it school you're saying, or was it a combination of school and this not-for-profit?
It's a combination of both, but it actually came down to me learning about myself.
Okay.
Like, what is it that I can contribute to this world? That's a very
deep,
esoteric question.
I think
for
so.
me to the philosophy podcast.
Hello, my name is Matthew.
But at the end of the day, like, you know yourself as entrepreneurs, there's plenty of things that you can spend your time doing, and you're not the best person for the job. You actually would be much, much better getting Leo to do video, because that's his talent, that's what he's good at. Instead of...
And Harold.
Don't forget Harry.
Big Harry. Come on, Harry. Come on. And, as opposed to you putting in 20 hours in something that would take Leo or Harry 5 hours.
It's dedication, and it's also ego too, I think a lot of that.
Yeah, and so I think I have my whole life been a real jack of all trades, and as a result, I think it's meant that I'm not as sharp as it could be.
Okay.
And so this season of my life, I'm trying to be way more focused.
In one task, you mean?
Yeah, in a certain area, and that is to refine my skills, really develop a craft. Because I've been a jack of all trades, I've never really had something that's my thing. Some people, they're sprinters. Some people, they're designers. Some people, I'm really good with a camera. Whereas for me, I was kind of just very well rounded at a lot of different things.
I can relate to that.
I can relate to that. And I really have enjoyed this season of sharpening what I'm doing. And for me, that is, the umbrella is really communication to change lives. And so that involves writing. It involves writing for clients. It involves writing for myself.
I'm very
it involves
jealous.
publishing myself. And it involves podcasting.
So you're
it's all communication.
Branding yourself as I'm the wordsmith guy. No, but I mean, is that what you're going for?
I would say it's more so I'm the words guy. Whether that's in written form
You should
or
get a
whether that's
W. You
in
should get a
audio.
W logo
Dun,
for him.
dun, dun,
Branding, the
dun,
W man,
dun,
the words
T-shirt.
guy.
Almost
Call me
like almost
W.
kind of like this
I speak
T-shirt.
words well.
We should get well wide like a wee W T-shirt.
If I could do a
It's very
George
interesting.
Washington accent, I would do a wee W.
The focus for that came out of frustration of being a jack of all trades, or being kind of more all-rounded. You were kind of yearning for something I could get behind. I want to be the best at this one thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%. And slightly caveat to that as well is, in New York, I actually learned a really important lesson, and that was that I'm an introvert. My whole life, I've been told that I was an extrovert.
Yes.
Well, when I was a child, I was painfully shy, didn't really speak, blah, 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 blah. Had this kind of journey as a teen and was doing public speaking and all, but I've kind of always been branded as an extrovert because I can public speak, I love public speaking, I'm good with people, I love mingling, I love communicating. But actually, New York taught me, from an energy perspective, that I am a hardcore introvert.
Yes.
And for me to actually spend my time managing people, that's an abuse of my time. Because it drains me to the point where I can't focus on the things that I'm really good at.
Yeah, there's also that's the interesting. Sophie and I were talking about with your placement girl regarding like being alone in a different city. Like, was that something? Did you ever feel that? Did you ever feel like when you moved over there? Obviously, you were working with a lot of other people, but what was it like This is me digressing because I remember we had the conversation.
To add on that, I would love a story, a New York story.
Yeah. Give us that and give us what you
Give us both.
do. You
Boots on the ground
so
story.
did you feel ever like you were alone at that point? Like there was nothing.
To answer your question, I don't mean to be just like adversary. I don't know. I didn't feel alone enough. To be honest,
Really?
no,
Wow.
I didn't feel alone enough.
Okay.
I felt like I couldn't escape from people,
Really?
and that was maybe due to financial reasons. I had a lot of roommates.
Okay.
I was surrounded by the people I was working with day by day, and that's how I
Which
discovered
is
I was an introvert.
An introvert's nightmare.
It was my
Yeah.
And so even though I was loving the work I was doing, even though I was loving the people I was being around, and this was really, it was a misappropriation of my own time. It was my own fault because I had the ego, because I wanted to be that master of all trades.
Was
jack of all
that
trades.
ego or was that insecurity?
It was more so wanting to make a difference, but being young and naive and not understanding my own limitations.
Okay.
I have definitely, since I've been young, I've no problem saying it, I've had like a superhero complex of, I don't know why, whether I loved Marvel movies whenever I was younger or the comics or whatever, but I always wanted to be the one that could do it all.
Yeah.
And and I don't even think that was rooted in ego. Well, you could argue that, but most of what I was doing was rooted in the place of I want to change the world. I had a suicide attempt whenever I was 11. And from that place, I kind of made all these big commitments of how I'm not going to waste my life. Even my relationship with God is very much rooted in this whole idea of don't want to waste my life, want to make as much impact while I'm here as possible, want to change the world, want to bring other people with me, want to make sure I don't waste every second. And as a result, that actually became the biggest kind of idol in my life. It became my biggest weakness was I was sprinting instead of running a marathon. And that
analogy made a lot.
That's just for
Oh,
you.
no,
I looked at you dead in the eye. I was like, oh, he's gonna love
He's
this
love
one.
guys and he's like, I know what you mean.
And so for me, even now, I'll be honest, the biggest personal difficulties that I face in my life this week are as a result of me trying to change from a sprinter into a marathon runner.
Okay.
And I find that very difficult. And even from business, the hardest lessons and the biggest things that I've learned is just how to be patient, realize that actually, and here's a great proverb for you. I spent some time in Rwanda whenever I was there. They shared this. It's kind of an African proverb, and they said, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Oh wow, I like that.
And I've spent my whole life sprinting, solo, trying to do it myself, trying to run me, but then I run out of steam. And then that whole turtle in the hare sort of story where actually if you were part of a collective group that were running the race together, you're going to go much further than you could ever go by yourself.
Sure.
But again, here's the tension. The tension is I am more of a freelancer than an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is I have no desire to build a team. I have no desire to have a staff team of 50 people and run this big company. That's my idea of a nightmare.
Yeah.
And so it's how do I, as a solo entrepreneur, how do I build community around me? How do I outsource to other people? How do I be willing enough to pay other people to help me in my work for the things that I can't do while not having to manage a staff team? So that's kind of, that's a lot of stuff.
Well, leave that before we go too far. I want to get this story from New York. I just think I find it very fascinating as a young guy moving to New York. As you're saying, help with social services, help with so many different kind of on the ground issues, homelessness. Just give us an interesting story, if off the top of your head, of maybe something that happened. It'd just be very interesting to hear something like that.
I'll give you a real showboaty story.
Okay.
Go on then, we're looking forward to it.
I usually don't share this, but I'm
Get the popcorn out, get the popcorn
I'm just
out.
going to do it, okay? So, because I think it shows you a lot about the city and it kind of shows you a lot. Anyway, so basically, it was my second year in the city. We lived uptown in a place called Washington Heights. Awesome neighborhood.
Sounds incredible.
It was a mixture between Puerto Ricans and Dominicans.
Oh.
And then
Lovely.
if you go 2 streets over, it's really Orthodox Jewish, right? So it's really these 2 stark communities and whatever. But we would get the train from 181st Street all the way down to 14th Street, right? And it was a big week because we just had 2 new staff members come in, move into the apartment, and this was the first time we were taking them down on the subway and all this sort of stuff, right? So, we're on the subway, it's like 4 a.m. on a Sunday morning, it's very, very early, and we're waiting for the train. And everyone's kind of in headphone mode, everyone's completely zoned out. And then I was listening to music and kind of just like, no one wanted to talk, and so we were just sort of like waiting for the train to come, and the train would wake us up. And then literally out of the corner of my eye, I just saw this like big black bin bag fall onto the tracks. Right, it was probably about 100 meters away, okay? And I was like, what the heck's that? And then I kind of was uneasy about it, and I got up and I looked, and I was like, is that a dude? Is that a guy?
Oh my god.
And the guys I was with, they were like, I think so. And it was like one of those things in the movie where like you kind of just like Scooby-Doo look at each other, and it's like, you know what I mean? And like the dust like still up in the air.
Yeah.
So we sprinted, bombed down, up the stairs, ran to the other side, jumped down onto the tracks, and I don't know if you've seen the New York subway, but the tracks are like they're really deep.
Very
like, I would venture to say maybe about 6 feet.
Wow.
You know, like it was maybe, well, I'm 6 foot, I think it was maybe up to here on me.
That's deep.
So it was deep, right? So we get down, right enough, it was this homeless guy, and he'd fallen onto the tracks.
Oh my
He
gosh.
landed right on the metal railing, and he busted his head open,
Oh, he did
right?
that.
So he was bleeding out.
Oh,
We were like,
my
flip me, we were freaking out. We were like, ah!
What do we do?
I was down the tracks, and I was like, I think it was Hallie. I was like, Hallie, get down here right now! I'm like, ah! We're all freaking out. We're like, we need to lift this fella. And no joke, I promise you this will sound like it's made up. Look down the tracks,
Oh, no way.
see the lights, you hear the horn,
Sugar, honey, iced
and
tea.
the train's coming.
Yeah.
Not even joking.
That's mental.
And the way those trains are, like,
I had no chance.
where we were on the tracks, it was unlikely that he was going to be able to stop in time. And there was no emergency buttons or anything like that. And so it just hit us, and we were like, we need to get this guy up right now.
Yeah.
And so we heaved him with hoed, and like, the guy was a big guy, like he was probably like 200 pounds. And you know, you look at me, like I'm hardly like, you know, bench champion or anything like that. And so here's us, like a bunch of scrawny wee white dudes, like trying to like lift this guy up. People are like, while we're doing this, the platform and everyone around us realizes what's going on,
Yes.
and they see the train. And this is the most interesting part. This is why I wanted to share this. It just shows you kind of a bit of the spirit of New York. And everyone's saying, "Get up, leave him, leave him.
No way.
It's not worth it.
Oh my
It's
god.
It's not worth risking it for this guy." Actually, everyone was like, "Scream, get up,
Get up,
leave
get
him,
up."
come on, get it." And you're in that moment, and of course you're not.
Yeah.
And so we're heaving and we're holding. No one would actually even bother to help us because they just didn't want to be involved, right? If there's any drama, no one wants to be involved. So we get the guy up, we get ourselves up, the train goes past, the guy stumbles to his feet, and he just goes, "Hey bro, you got my wallet on you, man?"
Oh my god.
And we're like, maybe, and someone hands him the wallet. So his wallet had fallen on the track.
Yeah.
The train doors open,
He walks in.
he falls onto the subway platform. Sorry, falls onto the train, wallet in hand.
Yeah.
Dun dun. Doors close. We never see him again.
Oh my gosh.
Literally.
That's carnage.
And we were standing there, covered in blood. Like everyone was kind of like, "Did that just happen?" I was like, "Did that just happen?" And then we went to work.
It's possibly the best story I've ever heard in my life.
It's a good story.
So that's the showboaty one. There's lots of ones, but I was like, if you're going to tell a story,
That's incredible.
Great
But
story.
I think the key takeaways for that was like, it was so great because that experience helped us bond as roommates instantly. It also really pumped our new staff members up to like, you're going to come to the city and you're going to change lives.
Yeah.
Like we are here, like, and it was a very faith-filled background, and so everyone felt like they were sent to do something. They felt like it was like part of their life that they had to be in New York at that time. And what an encouragement for those guys, and even for myself, that like what you're doing here matters. Like there's purpose for you being here. There are things that you need to do while you're here, and it was just very encouraging.
That's terrifying that people didn't really want to help. That worries me a little bit more than anything else.
It's heartbreaking.
It's not nice.
I mean, I think like we're very, very blessed in Northern Ireland to have
we are nice
a
people.
real sense of community.
You
You know,
do you
like,
think we're nice people, guys? Do you? Good. See, like, I'm not getting any sort of like help over here.
you know, but you know, I think that if that happened in Great Victoria Street, different story.
100%.
Really different story.
100%.
Also, because it's about 2 feet deep, isn't it?
It's still deep. It's still deep
I
enough.
suppose the challenge is in New York they probably see it more often than you would think.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly. That's a good point.
In London they see it quite a lot. But
Yeah.
Belfast, Northern Ireland, they wouldn't see it that much.
And in the defense
Great story.
of, I mean, I know we're really digressing here, but in the defense of the New Yorkers, there's so much homelessness
Yes.
that you become numb to it. You know, there's a statistic, and it's like, the story of one homeless man will break your heart, the story of a million will numb you.
Yeah.
And you know, there is a lot of truth in that, and because people are constantly being surrounded by the rawness of life, the real difficult things of life, whether it's drugs, homelessness, you know, whatever it is, you do build a bit of callousness about you because you have to. But the challenge is, you know, how do you then love people? How do you then make an impact without going cold? You know.
Okay, so round that off, I like just trying to make sure we get a lot of things covered here. What are you doing right now, and what's the plan of attack for the next few 3 months and year?
Yeah, so I would say I'm kind of like split personality disorder. There's 3 kind of main things that I'm working on. I suppose the first one would be my freelance brand.
Okay.
And the freelance brand is, there's no brand, there's no logo, there's no name, it's just Matthew, right?
Okay.
And what I really love doing with that, and the work that I'm really enjoying, is copywriting for websites.
Yeah.
So primarily working with new brands, people who have just started off and they need help constructing their story, how to communicate what they do, how to actually show off to the world the amazing ideas they have, the amazing services they have, the amazing products they have. How do you communicate that in a way that is going to really like inception the idea into your readers' minds, but also make them buy into your values and everything like that. So mainly that's websites, and I love doing website projects because my nature is I love to throw myself into a task, throw myself into a project, like dive deep into it, boom, 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 and then completely move on to something else.
Yes.
And so the website projects, they take me about a week.
Yes.
And it's nice to move, you know, one week you're doing consultants who are working with oil companies, the next week you're doing artists, the next week you're doing, you know, that's just.
And how do you get these? Do you get these through word of mouth, through social, through?
It's word of mouth, yeah. So when I started out as a copywriter, I was just taking on all kinds of work. Like, I mean, I think I clocked it in. I was looking back at some old journals, and I was clocking in like 40,000 words a week.
Wow.
And I was 100% of them were blog posts.
Yeah.
So I was working for kind of like a glorified content mill, which was just banging out articles to people. I would be sent a title, I'd be sent a keyword, and I would just go, boom, 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 boom,
I cannot write to save my life. I'm horrific.
Which is
Luckily
nuts.
we've got Sophie and Freddie here to be able to write copy for us.
Going on the topic of, say, mental health, you're dealing with a lot of high pressure things. How do you stay mentally strong when you face challenges of not getting inspiration, find it difficult to finish a job under a time frame, managing multiple jobs at a time? How would you stay mentally strong for that?
So the biggest thing is, and I swear I really want to write a book with this title. Please don't steal it. I shouldn't be saying this. I want to write a book called Do Less.
Okay.
And my biggest conviction in my life is that you should do less than what you're doing in an effort to do it better.
Okay.
And so, see...
So explain that a bit further, just for the viewers that might not have got that.
100%. So another way to put it is, you want to go deep instead of going wide. Instead, let's take something simple like my blog post, right? I was writing maybe like, I don't know, a lot of blog posts a week. For argument's sake, let's say I was writing 50 blog posts a week, okay?
50?
Let's just, So I write those 50 blog posts, I send them out to the world. What impact does that have? On me, my business, or on the client? Because whenever you're writing that amount of words, the quality is not up there.
Yeah.
Let's say instead I wrote 1 blog post a week for a client who's going to pay me 100 times what the other people are paying me. And I do 1 really high quality blog post. I pump everything into it. I do my research. I sit down with the client, and it causes them to have, maybe 100 sales or 100 people phoning them.
Or much more value.
There's much more value in there. But you can only do that level of work if you're doing less, or apply it to other things in your life. Another way to say it is learn to say no more. So whether it's speaking engagements, whether it's work, I spend most of my weeks actually rejecting work and rejecting opportunities, and that's been very hard for me because I am a bit of a yes man by nature. I like to I like to help people. I like to do it. I like to take on the work. I like to be busy. I like to be proactive. But the problem is you take that on, and what happens is everything else suffers. Your mental health suffers because you're stressed. Your physical health suffers because you're not getting enough sleep. Your relationship with your wife suffers because you're not at home as much.
If you have a wife.
If you have a wife. Your community suffers, your time with your bros, it suffers because you're working. Quality of your work suffers. And honestly, at the end of the day, I am a big believer that you financially suffer as well. My favorite marketer in the world, actually one of my favorite people in the world, is a guy called Seth Godin, and he always says,
He's the man.
He is the man.
He is the man.
He is the boy. If you are racing to the bottom, you're always going to lose. What that means is if you're always trying to compete on price, if you're always trying to offer the most competitive rate and the lowest cost and everything, you're always going to lose. It's a race you'll never win, because someone is always going to get in there cheaper, faster, and better. Always. If you race to the top, aka if you try to do more high quality work, that's how you win.
Yeah.
Because you add more value to clients, which in turn allows you to charge more.
I
Which in turn
suppose as
allows you
opposed
make
to
more
taking
money.
stuff out, you're putting stuff in.
Explain that.
In the sense that, oh, how can I do this cheaper? I'll spend less time doing this. I'll just fire that. I'll do this. You actually, as you say, spend more time constructing valuable content
Yeah.
and adding value as
Yeah.
opposed to taking value to get it cheaper.
Yeah. Even another thing, really simply from like a copywriter's perspective, I have stopped taking on work that's under £500 because I would spend so much time doing.
Dollars.
No. I
Joking.
don't mean like that. I just mean like those could be few and far between.
I know it.
But it's like, because here's the thing: someone approaches me, they say, "I want a blog post." Let's say I charge them £100. It's a good rate for a blog post, right? I have to meet with them.
Yeah.
Takes me about 2 hours.
Yeah.
I have to sit down, learn about what they do. Takes like another hour.
Yeah.
And then I have to actually write the piece.
Exactly.
So whenever you actually work that out, your hourly, like what you're spending hourly, isn't actually worth it because of all the groundwork that you have to put in to do a small job. Whereas if you're a wee bit more selective, I'll put it to you like this. I was talking to someone this morning. My first business, when I was 16, I started a t-shirt business, right? I was selling t-shirts, and I had this mentality of you got to sell as many as possible.
Yeah.
That's how you win business. It's all about volume, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh! I was selling these Class B t-shirts, like kind of like really silly stuff, like Harry Potter parody t-shirts. So one was like Harry Otter. It was like a wee otter with a wand and glasses and all that sort of stuff. But I was selling them for maybe like £7 a pop, right?
Yeah.
So my profit on that was I think £3.50.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is class. I'm selling loads of them. I'm printing them. I'm printing hundreds. I'm like, this is amazing. And then it just hit me one day. I was like, what if I put the price up to 15? I put the price up to 15, and I was doing maybe half as many t-shirts, but I was more profitable than I was before. And that like blew my mind. I was like, I'm doing less, I'm selling less, but I'm actually making more. So not only is it financially better, it's actually also time better. And that lesson has kind of filtered into a lot of areas of my life.
Yes.
How can I cut out as much low depth work, low value work out of my life? Because like I said, I'm kind of on this crazy like mission to like change the world and make an impact, and so I want that to be reflected in my business as
I've
well.
got an interesting question. That would be
We'll round it off. We've only got a few minutes left.
one question, just one more question. Just practical advice. Obviously, when you're talking about it requires focus, practically, how do you get focused? If you're going to sit down and have to spend 2 hours doing this, what kind of wee steps can you do, wee things can you do to get focused?
So again, I'm going to tell you to do less, and I want to encourage you to take less meetings. I want you to check your emails less. I want you to check your social media less. And the best way for me to do that is organize your week, and then go take it a step further and organize your month. Now, practically what I mean by this, something that I've been doing the last month, is I only do meetings on Tuesday. The only day I'm available for meetings is a Tuesday. And do you know how much time you save when you put your meetings in one box? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Because you know what else happens? You spend so much time going back and forward, being like, oh, you free at this time? No, I'm not free at that time. Can you do Root and Branch? No, I can't have to do Starbucks. I don't want to go to Starbucks. Well, can you do Armagh? No, I don't live in Armagh. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Whereas if you just set up, there's a great wee tool called Calendly, and it's literally people can book their own appointments. And you say, look, find a Tuesday that works for you, book it in any time, and I'll see you there.
That's awesome.
And boom, you lose that you save time on the communicating, but you also know that on a Monday, you're not having any meetings.
No, exactly.
Monday's time to do your work, bro. Monday's time to make money.
Yeah.
Monday is time to stay focused, and so you're not, in the middle of a big project or a big design project, and you're working away, and you're like, oh crap, I've got to go and meet Sammy at 3:00.
Yeah.
No, you don't, because Monday's your work day.
That's a good point.
And same with your emails, same with your social media. If you're in the habit of checking your email, every 15 minutes, not only are you wasting time, but you're actually you're less effective at answering emails. What I mean by that is, here's what happens, or it's same with Instagram DMs, same with Twitter DMs, same with notifications, same with everything. If you're constantly checking stuff, you know what happens? You're like, I don't want to reply to that right now. I'll reply to it later. And then it just disappears and it's big this, and you forget to reply to people. You have to spend time hooking stuff out. I kind of stole this from actually Michael Jordan of all people. There's wee sports topical things. I am health and fitness. Come on, bring it on. He said something along the lines of, as this massive botch paraphrase, but he says something like, when I deal with something, I deal with something.
Yeah.
And what he means is he only deals with something once.
Yeah.
And to explain that, take email as an example. When you sign into your email account at 5 p.m. on Tuesday in your designated email hour, You're there to deal with every single email.
Yeah.
You're not going to push it away. You're not going to avoid it.
Yeah,
you're going to sit down. You're going to work through them. You're going to deal with it. 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 Done.
Yeah.
You have accomplished your task. You don't need to come back to this until your next designated email time.
Yeah.
And so doing things like that with your meetings, doing things like that with your email, not only does it make you more effective at those things, but it actually protects your precious time to do the deep and focused work.
Do you ever make exceptions, or are you pretty strict about that?
I'm pretty strict about it. My exceptions would be for my monthly clients. If it doesn't work for for like a new.
But I guess if you don't check your email until Tuesday and I email you on a Wednesday with an urgent, how do you know?
Is it really ever that urgent?
This is true.
I'm not saying I check my email only on Tuesday. At the minute, I'm
but-
trying to work on a Tuesday and a Thursday.
Okay.
You know, even if you limited it to once a day,
Yeah.
it'd change your life.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I really like
Advice.
that calendar thing.
Very good
It'll
advice.
change your life.
really
And at the
actually-
end of the day, like try it for a month.
Yeah.
And literally, if you don't check your email for a month, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah.
Now, I know you're in a startup
Somebody phone
stage.
you some days they will do something other phone
Yeah,
contact.
and what you
say,
can do is you can figure out the most ideal way you want to be
Yeah.
contacted. I want to be contacted by email.
Yeah.
See, if you call my phone, it says, "So sorry, your call's really important to me. My phone's never switched on. Please email me at matthew@bestbelfast.org."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have my phone distracting me from
As
the deep
well,
focus
as-
work.
I've been chatting to you about this, and you've actually removed your smartphone generally from your social life outside of work,
Yeah.
and that's because of this.
If I had it on me, I've got a wee Nokia. That's my personal phone.
Yeah.
And again, the only real emergencies in my life are going to come from people who have my personal number.
Yes.
I'm still experimenting. I'm thinking of maybe having a dedicated email address for my paid clients
Okay.
so that they can email me, and that's something that I'll maybe
Great
check
idea.
every
Yeah,
day.
more regularly.
But see, for all that other stuff,
Yeah.
who else needs me?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, there's a great BBC radio slot for you. If you miss it, who cares?
Yeah.
You know, it's
More-
what's more important?
Yeah.
Spend all your life doing all these opportunities, or actually doing the work that you know you have to do, but you're putting off.
I like that a lot.
Sorry.
Imagine if we stopped the podcast early. That would have been dreadful. I mean, that would have been dreadful.
Very good
I
outlook.
like that. That's a nice way to finish on, I think. That's a
I like
great way to finish on. So, guys, great podcast. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I don't know about
Fantastic.
you.
Thanks for
I
having me.
loved it personally.
No, I mean, yeah, I think I love a good chat. Like,
Yeah.
I
And
love
let's
podcasts.
finish how we started. You're king amongst men.
Amongst men. The hero amongst men. We'll get Matthew tagged in, Best of Belfast. One of the ones we want to throw up. Anything else?
If somebody needs some work
What do
from
we
you,
do?
how do you get in touch?
It's just Best of Belfast.
Look,
Instagram.
Here's the thing: if you care about me at all, go
You'll find out.
type in Best of Belfast into your favorite podcast app. And listen to it. That's it. Only one thing. Do
I
that.
like it. Brilliant. Awesome. Great. You're
Well,
here.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sue.
You're a blessing.
Appreciate it.